Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me, and thanks for understanding the shift in time that will happen on Thursdays. We are back to our normal or abnormal 4 o'clock on my time, Pacific time, on Thursdays due to the shifting family FaceTime, which centers around the kids. So during certain parts of the year, it's earlier, and sometimes it's later. And so I try to keep it consistent during those times. We are now back to the thing that the regular abnormal. And I appreciate you guys putting up with that on the Thursdays. But, you know, family first. We got to do what we got to do. And we've had this kind of thing in place for well before the, since well before the actual live stream started. So I'm sticking with that. And there you go. I would recommend to anybody that has a family tradition or timing thing or whatever, that consistency is the key. Just got to lock that sucker in, because you'll miss it when it's gone. God willing, it misses you, I guess, first. But it's kind of important. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you understanding yesterday on the bow out. Some of you may know the sort of backstory of all of this stuff. But if you don't, that's life. It's not important. Just the space to actually deal with it on my own is actually the lovely part. So thanks very much. All right. We will be dealing with a little bit of choppity chop video-wise, but I've been tweaking, so hopefully the video, not tweaking. I've been tweaking the computer. Simmer. And I was able to, on a little trip out to a store with the kids, find a new device that I think will be crucial in our coverage, our widening coverage of the GOP, and Mike Lindell as well. That's a good one. 9 different ones. That's a good one. That's not. These will be very useful. I'm just saying. Super chat's well spent. Thank you. This will be crucial when we're dealing with these folks going forward. So there you go. Hopefully, we'll say it's basically it's like a portable Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, that's definitely a Rudy. Ugh, I just grossed myself out. Thanks, guys. That early in the show, huh? Just gonna gross ourselves out right away. Okay, so lately, I know you guys are shocked, but there seems to be a competition amongst the right wingers. Which I don't even know if I can call them right wingers anymore, because they are officially the Republican Party. You know how there's this like weird thing about establishment Dems, and there's the left wing of the thing, and the progressives are fighting with the establishment, and there's some distinct differences, tactically anyways, between these groups, and it's real. Everybody who's relatively normal has been broomed from the Republican Party, so now the Republican Party is just a repository for right-wing chicanery. It's honestly. So it shouldn't come as any surprise that they're all right now jockeying to be the shittiest person ever. And right now, anybody who's been keeping score at home, the current leader, that didn't work either. Front runner, sure, we'll just call it that. Is of course Depresh de Loser, or Denise D'Souza, however you'd like to refer to. We have not checked in on pronouns, but that would be rude to assume. So yeah, Dinesh is now just trying to out awful everyone. That is apparently the key to all of this is, and I've got to pull this back, whatever. This is basically all right, I understand shooting for Insta, right? Which is what this is. This is what we're watching. This is on his YouTube channel. But all of his videos are shot like this. They are all like, I'm just saying, YouTube, you are Dinesh D'Souza's side piece. He's all in on Insta, and he thinks that's where his, I think Depressed Delusa is actually the best nickname for him currently, considering his current mental state. But this is called the Emerging American KGB. Yeah. Okay. If I may.
What's going on with the Capitol Police and January 6th?
A couple of things. They were attacked. There's been some suicides. There's been a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of, PTSD-related depression. That's not what you're talking about, is it? That's not what it is. It's something else. What is going on? Tell us.
Two little data points jump out at me. The first...
Oh, no. Please tell me you're wearing pants. Unlike Mike Lindell. Hold on one goddamn second. All right. This is totally off I don't even know why this, but Mike you know that clip we did of Mike Lindell the day before yesterday? He was outside at a hotel he was staying at, and he was apparently in his underwear. I'm not, so remember when he was waving people by? By the way, this is, wherever the hell he is staying, somebody comes over and they're like, "Hey, Mike Lindell," and he's like, "It's going to be the greatest thing ever." Look, he didn't put on pants. I'm going with underwear. I'm going with boxers. But anyways, I know here's the thing. Let's just say for a second, let's just go out on a limb and say it is shorts. He's still lying to viewers. Mike, nobody dresses like that. Maybe Jeffrey Toobin. Maybe. But yeah, he is a living, yes, he is a living Zoom trope. Yes, he is. All right, let's. I don't even know if you hear what he's saying, because this is the actual video we played the other
Let them call you names, what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be strong, don't let them push around or call you names like a really crazy old man who believes everything he reads on the internet. Don't let them call you names. Stay strong, you're doing great. Love you, man.
Oh, he's out of money, that's why he's dropping Fox. No, what they don't realize is by dropping Fox, it costs us money and a lot of money, because we are direct response.
Okay, by the way, can I just say for a moment, you guys know how, I am with tech issue stuff, and, I have my fair share. But when I'm on the road, and I do for the years that I've been doing my radio show live on the road, where I've had to find internet, back in the day when, there wasn't 5G around that you could actually, relatively, you could stream a relatively high quality show on 5G or even 4G or LTE. But before that, when I was literally I had to Ethernet or no, it was, Ethernet or bust. I could occasionally, I would be confronted with using the business center in a hotel, right? That's the only thing open to me. And when they call it a business center, it's a printer in a closet with a glass door. Let's be honest, right? 9600 baud, baby. That's right. Oh yeah, and the Ustream, absolutely. So, the amount of stuff I would have to go through so I could have an isolated point, finding an unused boardroom or something in the hotel that had Ethernet in it, so that I wouldn't be, just because I didn't want to be loud in my hotel room for the people on either side, because I get a little carried away and I could be a bit loud. And so, just out of respect for the guests there, who may or may not share my political beliefs, they might not even hear it. I might sound like Charlie Brown's teacher through the door or through the window or through the, like across the quad or through the wall in these hotels wherever I am, just but it can be really aggravating. So I'm pretty sensitive about this. It's one of the reasons why I have never done my show full on anyways as a live stream from a Starbucks, for example. I've seen people live stream some stuff from Starbucks. It's a dick move. But look at this asshole. He's sitting out in between in the common area, but in these outdoor bungalows wherever at the extended stay, wherever the hell he is, yammering his ass off. Beyond the fact that he's in half a suit and he's in his underwear and his rig setup is shit, for the record. I'm calling it out right now. It's an iPhone. This is what we're seeing. By the way, we're all seeing this is all the Mike BTS we need. Understand that Brandon House, who runs Lindell TV and has his own show on Lindell's network, he's not sitting in a common area using an iPhone to show up on that guy's network. That guy is. Well, Hal, aren't you delighted to see Mike in underwear? Well, I'm glad he has something on. But Christ almighty. What a dick. I mean, there's people walking by. That guy just went to the store. See that guy with the bag in his hand behind Mike? Right over there? I'm sorry, not Mike. Mr. Pillow. And then there's another person who walks by. Obviously, this guy's trolling him as he goes by. They cut away from it in the broadcast that we saw, I think. Either that or they, just killed the audio on it. But this is an asshole move. I'm just saying. Sometimes we're forgiving of Mike Lindell because he's a little dopey. But this is rude. Right? Oops, I'm not.
Hard killing names.
That's all right. There he is. Look, this is untucked shirt, shorts, all bullshit. This is bullshit in the front, party under the table. This is the mullet of suits. So just saying. So this is that kind of level of thing again, where he's just this is Dinesh D'Souza's chosen Instagram and podcast. Really? He does 8-minute segments, not a podcast. I mean, maybe there's a full version of something. None of us are going to listen to it. I mean, for real. And thank you for the level 4 hype train, kids. Awesome. Thank you.
One is Capitol Hill police officers committing suicide. Now,
yeah. Now, I know that he's going to handle this with the sensitivity that the subject matter requires. I'm kidding. He's going to shit on the dead.
Why would they do that? The left, of course, automatically assumes, without, by the way, a shred of evidence, that these are people who are just emotionally traumatized by the violent sedition of January 6th, and so 6 months later, they're like, okay, that's it, I'm out of here. That's one explanation, but
the audio is very strange. Hold on. That might be on my end.
A more plausible explanation, I think, is that some of these Capitol Police officers are pretty conservative. Policemen in general tend to be. And these...
Oh, I see. I see, Dinesh. So they're committing suicide because Biden became president.
People who have been, ever since January 6th, hounded by Pelosi and by the left and by their own leaders for their own reasons to lie, to create a false narrative, to make some...
Yeah, that's why. They committed suicide because they're being asked to testify. They would rather kill themselves than lie about the fact that it was, BLM and Antifa?
Of January 6th that it really wasn't, and to destroy the lives of all the people who were involved in January 6th. And so what's happening is that these Capitol Police...
Wait, I'm sorry. No, they're not seeking to destroy the lives of everyone who was involved in January 6th. All the assholes who just watched Trump's speech and then went the fuck home, no problems whatsoever. They have zero problems. You know, the folks that walked up there and literally trespassed during a riot, who could be charged, they're not. There's about 9,000 people that stepped past the barriers on January 6th at the Capitol. About 600 of them are currently being indicted. Another 400, about all told, probably 1,100 of them will face some sort of charges legitimately. So no, not everyone.
Officers are beginning to feel a pang of conscience. They're beginning to feel, wow, do I want to participate as a police officer dedicated to the upholding the rule of law in this scandalous depredation of law, in this police state operation that is apparently authorized by the Speaker of the House? Now,
I see. They're committing suicide not because of any personal issues they have, or even January 6th. It's because Pelosi is making them arrest people who won't wear a mask. That's why. I'm amazed. Okay, it's official. Like I thought we'd heard like he'd pegged the meter on garbage. I had no idea this went to 11.
What makes me think that we are looking at a kind of police state operation, or let's call it Nancy Pelosi's private militia? Well, I've been very...
Nancy Pelosi's private militia. Well, apparently, she's got a shit private militia because they have stormed and taken no ground whatsoever. And apparently they have this ratty habit of protecting Republicans and Democrats alike.
In the way that Pelosi has been empowering the Capitol Police and trying to provide funding for them, by the way. There's a bill that's passed the House very narrowly, hasn't passed yet the Senate, to give the Capitol Police all kinds of money and authorization to do things that they previously haven't. Recently...
Yeah, like have protective gear on hand all the time instead of having to have it like stored blocks away.
Matt Gaetz made an observation in one of his talks. He said,
look, if you're going to say the age of consent in a state is 15, I mean, is it really if no one puts it to the test? Is that what he said? Or what is he, what could have been? Don't call me big boy? Is that what he said? No.
What in the heck is the Capitol Police doing setting up an office in Tampa, Florida? Very good question. Here's the answer for it.
Okay, Tampa, Florida, Capitol Police setting up an office. Go.
The Capitol Police are basically trying to expand their operations nationwide. They're trying to get the idea, or promote the idea, this is the leadership in league with Pelosi, that we got to prevent an event like January 6th, and to do that, we've got to monitor extremist behavior across the country. Well, how do we do that?
Well, clearly, you zip down to Tampa, because if you're looking for the capital of lunacy, that's actually, I'm kidding. It's not. It's Tallahassee, actually. Tampa's a little more diverse and fun. There's obviously some shit going down there fairly regularly, but not on this scale.
The Capitol Police now are using Army surveillance gear to monitor Americans and, quote, identify...
Oh my God. You mean you're against the militarization of the police? When did that start? Oh, right. After your failed coup.
Emerging threats. Now, wait a minute. Aren't the Capitol Police supposed to protect the Capitol? And don't we have another organization? Ever heard of the...
Yeah, guys. What? In Ireland. Oh, it's beautiful. So Dinesh's plan, by the way, in case you ever want to strategize in future, if you're planning on being in a position of power, or any, I mean, you could apply this to engineering, construction. You could do this with any kind of military situation, FEMA, any of these areas. What Dinesh would suggest you do is, when you know that there's an increasing danger of something happening, no matter how much new information you have about where the threat is and how far it goes and what kind of intel you might need to prevent an attack in the future, what you really want to do is stay back at the absolute last line and don't do anything until you are already under attack. For any country, I think that's a great strategy, and certainly for the capital of America, the United States Capitol should basically, when they say last line of defense, that's what he means. That's the line. You cannot defend it outside of that line. It's kind of like Foursquare or tag rules.
Federal Bureau of Investigation that is supposed to monitor threats on a nationwide level. Since when does a local police turn into a national kind of militia, empowered to do all kinds?
Well, they're not local. They're federal employees. Kind of like the Secret Service. You know what I mean? Aren't the Secret Service local to wherever the fuck the president is? No, they work for Treasury, but Dinesh won't know that either.
Of things that it never did before, and as we will see, without oversight. So the Capitol Police now will start using Army surveillance equipment to monitor Americans. They're
like what? Binoculars and listening device. What kind of Army devices? They're going to use M16s to listen to people. It's a curious listening device. People tend to make a lot of noise, though, when you point one at them, so maybe that's what he's talking about.
Turning the force into, quote, an intelligence-based protective agency. Intelligence-based.
Right. Something it was not when Trump was in office.
I mean, they've taken possession of 8 of these so-called, they're called PSSG systems, persistent surveillance systems. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has...
What's the G for? Gear? Yeah, I know it's M4's Dream Simmons. These are leftovers. It is true that they currently use M4s. This is right. It's what my cousin uses on the job.
Prove this, and so they're able to do high-definition surveillance. Now, by the way, this is technology that came out of the military. This is technology that was used...
Yeah, so did the internet, which is what you're on, dickwad.
Oh my God, there's so much that... do you realize Velcro was invented for the military?
Good God.
By the U.S. government in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was used to observe large areas and monitor them day and night, 24 hours a day.
Okay, so they're going to set those up in Tampa, is what you're saying? So the idea is that they went down there and they've set up organizational spaces or within federal, either FBI offices or the like, and strategically around the country as field offices, essentially, with the extra funding they have, so that they can be aware of noise on the ground if anybody decides to attack the Capitol ever again. Now, it's obviously flexible, and they're not obviously setting up permanent. There will not be the Capitol Police headquarters in Tampa, but whatever. We'll let his fantasy run wild. But so that this gear that runs 24/7, where they can use high definition video and audio, is going to be set up around the Capitol building of the richest, most powerful country in the world. But it came from the military. They can't listen to the yard. What if they had it set up on the day, Dinesh? They would know, not only who built the gallows, but, whose cousin Ernie gave them a deal on the wood.
So, according to the Capitol Police, this kind of surveillance, which they call, quote, state-of-the-art surveillance, is intended to, quote, enhance...
by the way, you don't have to say, quote, state of the art. It is state of the art. It's the state of the art. And if it isn't, why isn't it? That's a bragging phrase. You're not going, why are they using state of the art? Huh? This is your tax dollars. You know, I mean, do you want your tax dollars spent on the best stuff to protect your capital? America? I don't think so. So the whole America first thing, that was just bullshit, Joel.
The ability to detect and monitor threat activity. As if to say, we now need to turn the kind of attention that we've been giving to the Taliban and to ISIS onto fellow Americans. And by the way, the Capitol Police.
For the record, Dinesh, I have to say, let me check 1 second. How do we look this up? Let's see. Let's see something right here. Let's see. District records. This is older, but Destination DC reports a total of 23.8 million visitors in 2018, up 4% from 2017, the ninth consecutive year for record visitation in the district. The district had a 1.9 million overseas visitors last year, so 2 million foreigners, Dinesh, coming down to the capital. So just so you know, in case any of those people are trouble, they have translators and people that when they can hear shit really clearly, it's a lot easier to translate things like, you know, Arabic and French. Those guys are trouble. No, not to listen to Americans. To listen to whoever's threatening. And by the way, for the record, we've heard a lot from the Republicans over the last few years about what real America is. The flyover states. That's real America. These are, you know, Lee Greenwood listening Trump supporters. That's your real Americans. These are the people also who sided with the Confederacy, which was a foreign government established to attack the United States of America, and still do, and in a lot of ways. And then, of course, decided to attack the Capitol on the day because they couldn't install a dictator permanently. I mean, let's be clear. None of them were going to be fine with Trump getting just 4 more years. Don't be ridiculous. So we have to. I just have to insist, Denise, that you use that you say Americans in quotes when discussing these things.
Doing it. Now, normally when federal agencies like the FBI undertake this kind of activity, they're part of the executive branch, and so they're subject to freedom of information requests. They're subject to certain types of court oversight to make sure that.
Yeah, but they're also law enforcement agencies using technology to fight against terrorists, killers, bombers, would-be murderers, insurrectionists, people who want, foreign governments that want to destroy the United States of America. One of the ways they can do it is by attacking our capital. So they don't have to tell you everything, stupid. Honest to God, like, this is one of the areas where when people start going, we need oversight and the CIA and the NCA, I'm like, yeah, within reason. But we don't have to pants ourselves to the world because the people on the receiving end of legitimate investigations start screaming victim.
They are carrying out their functions within the bounds of the law. But here's the difference. The Capitol Police is not bound by any of this. They don't have to respond to FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests. They're not under the same.
Well, sure they do. They just can say, piss off.
Kind of court oversight. Why? Because they are a branch of the legislature. So it's not possible for a court to say you're breaking the law. Why? Because the legislature, which is to say under the supervision of Nancy Pelosi, makes the law. So since the Capitol Police are directly accountable to the legislature, i.e. to the Speaker of the House, I'm quoting here from a report that was put out by Roll Call last summer. It says, quote, Congress is not itself subject to the law, because it is the law, and the Capitol Police as a component of the legislative branch is also exempt from any FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, request. So what you have here is a rogue agency. Rogue in the sense...
No, you don't. What you have here is a police department specific to a particular federal building, which is the target for not only the destruction by every hostile power on Earth and every sideline ISIS offshoot, but if you believe Independence Day, pretty much any alien that has the ability to fly someplace is of course going to blow shit up. Because, I mean, it's not like they could blow shit up at home. If you got the kind of technology that allows you to travel light years from home, you're obviously going to go to destroy things, because that can't be allowed. No, they don't have to tell the entire world, including the North Koreans and everybody else, how, when, and where they gather information. They have closed sessions that they have to respond to our representatives in government as people who have taken an oath to protect the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so we basically deal with that secrecy by electing people we trust to be the guardrails. Now, there's a difference here, because none of the people on the right, it seems, can be trusted with the guardrails. Maybe, I guess Cheney and Kitzinger aside, but I don't know, beyond their refusal to kowtow to Trump, there's a lot of other stuff that they would do that I'm sure I don't side with as far as national security stuff goes. That said, anything Dinesh knows or Steve Bannon knows, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, and ISIS know. Just, yeah.
It operates at the behest of Pelosi. It's very clear that all those lying officers that came up there and said, oh, there was a crowd shouting racial slogans at me, a complete made-up lie.
Racial slogans. Slogans. I see. Okay, I have a bunch of jokes in my head. I'm not going to say them because they offend me.
But these lies were scripted. You could even see one of the officers who basically could hardly read English. He was kind of talking at the 4th grade level, but he was.
English is his second language, dipshit. And he prepared remarks because speaking to Congress is a meaningful moment in your life. I mean, I know you love President Freeball, who just, I mean, not everybody, you have to understand, Dinesh, not everybody has a grip on the English language the way Trump does.
The Burmese executives, so this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese. Free health care for illegal, look. Look. Burmese, to me, Corona means Italy.
Mm-hmm. So understand, not everybody
Michigan gave us Motang.
Can grasp English at the level that Dinesh's hero does.
Was reading these beautifully scripted sentences because obviously they were just put in front of him and they said, basically, read this. So,
hi, fuckhead. Shit talking a cop is like a new low for anybody on the right. But this is extraordinary. Just literally laughing off the statement of these officers that were clearly attacked. There's video showing them physically attacked. Look, there's even wiggle room for this dipshit. This is how big a scumbag Dinesh D'Souza is. This is it. You could say, well, yeah, sure, there's video of them being beaten. Sure, there's video of them nearly being blinded. Sure, there's video of them literally pushing back against a giant crowd, yelling heave ho, and crushing them against the doors. But it wasn't, those weren't MAGA supporters. Those were Antifa and BLM. and therefore I have sympathy for the officers, but their anger is misplaced. Right? You could field that narrative. I mean, it's dumb and it's not true. And but when has that ever stopped this asshole? So you could actually make the argument that, yes, I understand these guys went through a lot. I know it's very emotional. You can see how emotional they're getting, but this is not who attacked them. That could be a talking point. I don't want to help these assholes out, but that's how you would do it if you had like two brain cells to rub together. But this fuckhead is, when he is aware that there was video played before and during their testimony that showed them being assaulted by people who are clearly wearing Trump gear and shouting shit like "hang Mike Pence" and saying they're gonna shoot Nancy Pelosi in the head and they're gonna kill AOC and "whose house, our house" and "hang Mike Pence" in the same sentence. He saw the video. He's seen it. And what he's saying is that these officers who he saw attacked are performing. That they are crisis actors. Because that's what a douchebag he is. Christ.
You have a pathetic, embarrassing organization, but nevertheless one that, because of the power that is being given to it by the government and by Pelosi, is also extremely dangerous.
No, we're not listening to Ted Nugent. Honest to God, I don't know. I don't think anybody else does either. I don't know what the fucking point is that they're trying to make. Literally, I mean, I guess they're trying to undermine the January 6th Commission, but does anybody buy this shit? I've heard it from multiple sources, by the way, and it's not original. There's been this story about how Russian state TV has started pushing this narrative that the police who killed themselves on January 6th were fake. This is all, the deep state faked their suicides. And this is, by the way, 100% in line with the talking points of Dinesh D'Souza and others. So, anyways, let's get to something silly, because I'm going to get angry and grossed out, and I would much rather see what Gene the Dancing Machine from Flashpoint and Lanny Walnuts, who are, and a guy named Dutch Sheets, which sounds like something Mike Pillow would sell, and Mario Murillo. Mario, of course, the squat Murillo, because he's always sitting in the middle of a road in San Francisco for some reason in his videos. I don't know what the shit that is. It's a background, but I don't know why. It's crazy go nuts. This is Flashpoint. Yeah, this is Fleshlight. A Christian, allegedly, Christian television show. This is a live event that they're doing. And this is like, I wish I had a close-up of this graphic here, which is like on the wall behind them. You can see it on a much bigger screen. And this is basically their digital version of like Glenn Beck's blackboards back in the day, if you'll recall, which also didn't turn out to be shit. So I'm very curious. This is called A Divine Unveiling and Prophetic Moment. So more prophecies from Flashpoint. They have clearly not learned their lesson that none of this shit is coming true. Apparently it's just not, I don't know what it is. It's hard to say. All right.
When we see this, now the thing here you got to understand, and I want to, we're not just going to kind of skim over the top of this because
don't. Hal Sparks, what pocket gophers? Talk about pocket gophers. I've never tried one. We heard about the pocket gophers from Mike Lindell today. We'll see a piece of that clip in a moment, and I'll get to it then. But I've been scouring the internet trying to buy a pocket gopher to go with my VR beaver. What? That sounded so wrong. It's not. I was picturing. Never mind. I'm gonna skip it and move on. Yes, God makes an appearance about halfway through this, but don't blink or you'll miss her.
all the time. So this will be on the resource page, govictory.com/flashpoint. So you can go.
Oh, shit. Well, thanks. Hold on. Is it Go Victory? Did you say govictory.com? Yeah, okay. Where's the resources page? What do you mean? Victory channel. About apps and devices. Watch. The fuck resource? What are you talking about? Shows. Watch. Specials. About. This is the resource page. Where are resources? I don't see a resources thing. I'm very disappointed. Is it on the shop? Can you buy it? Can I buy a giant poster? Come on, Flashpoint. Maybe it's on. Maybe Flashpoint has. Okay, there's a Flashpoint. Let's see. I'm just looking through this shit. Hold on, Laney. Sweet Flashpoint hat, by the way. And everybody wants a target right on their forehead. You lunatic. Uncanceled. Pink shirt though. Bold choice. So let's see. Flashpoint. Flush pounce. Let's see. So, home, victory for the win. Need a prayer? Do you need a prayer? Let's see. Shows. Let's go to Flashpoint. Flashpoint.govictory.com. Okay. These are all their videos. Let's see. Trump speech at CPAC. Okay. Here they are. Resources. All right. The Coordinated Effort to Silence Speech Program. Oh, this is a diagram. Oh, here it is. We've got it. This is exciting. How it works. How election officials and government actors coordinated with platforms to silence speech. This is very exciting. And it ends with Twitter and Dr. Shiva. Hold on. Can you blow this thing up? Yeah, I need to move this thing around. Get up here, you rat. The graphics are... the Rockefellers, yeah. Quadrivium, Facebook, okay, there's Mark Zuckerbuck, right? Nothing anti-Semitic about the old, fellatio-related money reference for someone with a clearly Jewish name. Well done, Mike Lindell. There's somebody at the AP, definitely sketchy, probably gay. Nased, I don't know what that is. This woman, we don't even know who she is. Is this the woman that's like... Is that just a... What the heck happened to my... Oh, I lost connection to my mouse. That's terrible. What happened? That's what we need. Get out of here. I've been cursed. The Lord became angry, and lo, he did reach down upon his mouse and steal away the power and the glory of the... Hold on. I gotta fix this. I'll be right back. Hey, that did it. Look at that. I fixed it. That's quicker than lickety split. And I even have a... Hold on. Go back to me real quick. I even had to, go raid game controller batteries. Like a tech nerd. Where in the world is Tucker? He's in... he views Hungary as a white supremacist paradise, so he is visiting there because it's part of his... You know how some people have a dog, an anxiety pet, right? Tucker Carlson needs, white supremacy anxiety hangouts. So he's got to go, visit Berlin and just go to the line where the wall used to be and stand on the other side of it and go, oh, I feel so much better. And then step back, it's the same thing. Yeah. All right. So here we are. These folks. Is this the same person? Michelle Tassinari, who is, I don't know. Look, I'm just saying, can I download this? What's happening? There you go. Maybe I know what I'll do. I'll put it over here. We do here, and then we go over here. And we move. Sorry, get out of here, Laney Walnuts. I'm gonna need, try to open this sucker up. Yeah, there you go. You can't get, I tell you. All right, now you got it. Look at this. Wait, here we go. Look at this. Now we got it big. Look at this thing. I don't know, let's see. Do we zoom in on this? Nice graphics, guys. Real good. Yeah, solid work. Thanks. Yeah, at least the nice thing is we can download it and everyone can see what it says. Nothing like a true information document that you can... What a bunch of assholes. Now I gotta print this thing out and, blow it up. Nice work, Gene the dancing machine.
Download this. In fact, there's a whole story from the Gateway Pundit that you can read that kind of breaks it down even further. Do that on your own so you want to understand.
Yeah, don't do that now. We don't have time for that.
But remember, we've been talking about censorship. We've been talking about getting canceled. We talk about it comes back. This is a great example of how this really happened. We all look at this, Lance, as this just happened. We woke up one day and Twitter started banning people.
Oh, no, clearly this is a Jewish plot from 1955. I mean, it all started, we should have never let Israel happen, right, Gene? Because ever since then, they got a little bit big in their britches.
This has been going
King of the castle.
on slowly.
And it's insidious, Gene, because it's denied. So you know something's going on.
You know something's going on when people call bullshit on what Lanny Walnuts says. This is my favorite current defense right now, is that if you go to any of these folks, Trump lost, you're a fucking lunatic, this is awful, you're shitting on Capitol police officers that were attacked, and they're like, oh, must have struck a nerve. Yeah, by being awful. Occam's, I'm wielding Occam's razor and I'm having a hard time behaving myself.
But then it's denied, and of course, they're not going to blow the whistle on themselves,
Well, no, you'll throw your back out. You know that, Lanny, more than anybody. You were in a brace for 6 weeks.
And all of the platforms engage the same practice. But this one...
Yeah, you mean trying to minimize disinfo and keep the truth is... Oh, something else.
Busted. As you're praying for God to awaken and bring awakening to America, I honestly...
Excuse me, if God is napping, for fuck's sake, leave him alone. You assholes make enough, you make so much fucking noise on Sundays, and that's his day of rest. You're like, wake up, praise the Lord, this is a thing, notice me, and he's like, this is my one day. This is my one day to rest, and you shut up. Shut up. Lanny Walnuts, zip it. I don't even like these songs. You do realize I also created Metallica, right? Shut up. But these guys want to wake God. Look, I think we all know the old phrase, let sleeping gods lie.
Part of the awakening is...
Speaking of lying about God, go ahead, Lanny.
He's turning over the rocks, to use an analogy that I think... it was Brother Cope was talking about last night. But
Yeah. He invented it, basically. You mean turning over rocks and seeing them scatter or something? I don't know. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think Hank and I are talking about this too. God is exposing the things that have been hidden in darkness and bringing them to the light of the nation.
Amen.
This is part of that exposure right here.
Please don't expose yourself to these folks. And by the way, Mike Lindell, is he part of the exposure? Because we all just saw him without pants on, and we're still recovering.
All right, so Dr. Shiva, he was running for Senate, then he found out something was happening.
Oh, this is the dude who thinks he had the election stolen from him. And by the way, I don't know why he's the end of this. Like the entire multi-decade strategy is so that they could undermine this one asshole's local race in New Jersey or whatever.
In Massachusetts, he found out his tweets were being deleted. Well, later he found out they were deleted. Listen to this. At the direction of the government employees of the Massachusetts Secretary of State's office. Okay, so
Dun, dun, dun. I call bullshit, but whatever.
let's let that kind of just sink in there for a moment.
Okay. It's always good to let bullshit sink in. It fertilizes the ground a lot better.
So he decided he's going to file a federal lawsuit. So he filed a lawsuit alleging his federal civil rights were violated and the government silenced him. He had no idea what he was about to uncover, and this is what he uncovered. They noted back in May, the same judge signaled that Twitter's days of claiming that they were, these guys, the big tech guys, let me just kind of phrase it to you this way. They're saying, no, we're just, we're free speech, and if you violate someone, you're bullying. It's basically the technical, the digital bullying. You're saying, oh, you're bullying me. Lance said something bad about me. And so you're bullying me. So I'm going to cancel your tweets. I don't like you anymore. So I cancel you. But we're saying that
So no, I it's clear enough. And by the way, if Lanny Walnut says something bad about you, you're going to be swimming with the cement fishes or something.
CDA, and which stands for the Communications Decency Act of 1996, said what, Lance?
Well, what it did was it basically allowed the platforms to be exonerated from suits for what was going on the platform, so that they wouldn't be responsible for what someone put in a chat thread, for instance. But they
right. And if we hadn't had that, we would not have had President Trump. That asshole would have been sued into oblivion a decade ago for some of the shit that he tweeted. Because Twitter and Facebook would have never gotten off the ground, because they both had been latched together in that.
Expanded that to a grotesque degree where they have no prosecution.
Excuse me, to an obscene degree. See what I did there? It's not even hard. Lanny, come on.
Real vulnerability at all for persecuting.
By the way, look how big the word infrastructure is. This is clearly part of the fucking plan. This is all set up years ago so that they could have the infrastructure bill? Huh?
Getting and taking down viewpoints. So hiding behind that.
Well, yes. There are certain viewpoints they want to take down, like Stormfront and the Ku Klux Klan and ISIS, who have apparently a very well-produced magazine, but are not allowed to tweet for some odd reason. I know you want to fight for, not all of ISIS, just the American members, the sympathizers, like you and Dinesh D'Souza.
They have a shield where they are not accountable. What you've got here.
Well, no, they're not responsible. They're accountable because they have a standard where they can broom people. So if they get enough complaints, they can get rid of people because they're accountable to their shareholders and to the board of directors, so that their social media site remains functional and highly profitable. And if they let assholes like Stormfront or Trump, no comparison, but if they allow them to continue doing what they're doing on the platform, it would lower the profitability of the actual organization, and therefore that's in violation of their job to, as far as shareholders go. Legally, they have to maximize profit for shareholders. And since Trump got kicked off of Twitter, it's been thriving, interestingly enough, after a short dip. So, and that short dip, of course, was the brooming of a ton of bots that just no longer were following Trump. A bunch of them came back in the form of fake Q accounts, but it's still not having the impact that they used to.
But they're even more conspicuous. On Facebook, they simply took Donald Trump down. On Twitter,
Yes, it was very conspicuous. He was warned multiple times and then told to fuck off.
they took him down. Here, you talk about shadow banning. They'll take specific tweets down. The government right now is engaged, and this was the brouhaha that just happened 10 days ago.
So I just want to, Lanny, if I may. So let's just say, I don't know, something you can relate to. Somebody posts child pornography on Twitter, and Twitter wants to immediately take down that tweet. They don't take down the entire account, just the tweet itself. Both would be wrong, in your estimation. I understand, but you would rather that Twitter not have that ability because free speech. What are you actually arguing for, Lanny? Because if they just start, brooming people just because they're different, then, it won't survive as a social media platform. People will jump ship, and they'll find some place where, even though they don't want to post Stormfront level stuff, they can speak freely or whatever within the bounds of human interaction. They can argue points as opposed to be, in deference to you, genuinely awful.
Is pressuring the social media platforms to police all commentary that doesn't agree with the party line. The word party line comes from the Communist Chairman Mao's party line playbook, where you either were in the party line or you were persecuted and taken.
Yeah, we know. First of all, no, it didn't. The party line, it has been used, across all political parties, but the party line is the unified message coming from the party. It may have shifted over in terms of how we, like we say party line vote, for example, all the time in our democracy when it works out that way. It's not spooky because of the phrase party line. And it's not the party line. Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, they all still have their Twitter accounts, asshole. They all tweet constantly. They just don't tell people to drink fish tank cleaner or stick a light bulb up their ass to cure COVID. Or use racial or anti-gay epithets to make a point. So they get to stay on. No matter how shitty they are as people, no matter how shitty their ideas are, they get to stay on. They're all still on. They don't get fully broomed. They get put in a timeout like everybody else. And tons of people on the left have been put in timeouts by Twitter or kicked off entirely. But you don't give a fuck about those people because because you're carrying the party line, I guess would be the argument.
Out. So the party line in government is if you don't sign up on the vaccine definition and the COVID definition of what they want, they're saying.
You mean what counts as a vaccine or what counts as COVID? I don't understand. Does your COVID have its own pronouns? What's happening? Are you a wolfkin? Tell me.
You are a threat and the platforms should be taking you off. Now,
No. If you just don't get the vaccine or you're not buying it or whatever, no one can see inside your head. But if you're telling people that you don't need the vaccine, just go ahead and get some ivermectin and some vitamin D and just wait it out, then they're going to go, and you're actually a person of note, for example. There's tons of random assholes saying this stuff on Twitter all the time. But once you amass a certain amount of followers that gives you, gets you on the radar, if you say these kind of things, they're going to pay extra attention. And if you are someone who should be in a position of authority, like a doctor or a politician or the president of the United States, obviously they're going to have more of an issue with it because they don't. And it's weird, I know. The GOP doesn't seem to follow this, but Twitter doesn't want most of its users dead. Unlike the current Republican Party, which seems to be on a mission to murder as many of their own supporters as possible. Because none of their anti-mask, and anti-vax bullshit is going to kill a single Democrat. But the red states are fucked right now.
Everybody freaks out when they hear that until they realize they've already been doing that.
Yeah, so you have here, which I had heard this, NASED. In fact, if you look up there on the big screen, you'll see NASED officials come up several times. Now, what is happening is NASED, which took me forever to figure out what this was, the National Association of State Election Directors. Whoever knew there was such a thing. So these guys...
Apparently the people who work there. By the way, we also, the National Association of State Election Directors, we have a federal system over all of our states. So there's not only is there a United States Governors Association, which every governor is a member of, and former governors are members of, but there's a Republican Governors Association and a Democratic Governors Association. I don't know what both people at the Independent Governors Association meeting every year. It's a small gathering at an Elks Club in North Dakota. But I think there's 4 members currently. But everybody else is part of these associations because they find that because they have similar problems, challenges, if you will. They also sometimes will have similar solutions, and if somebody has a new one that they haven't tried or thought of yet for these problems, they can kind of learn from each other. Functioning government adult shit.
Guys band together. So as you go down this chart, you will see, like Amy Cohen is...
You will see your paranoid fixation on the National Association of State Election Directors. That's what we'll see. We're not going to see that these are actually tied into anything. What you will see is your paranoid bullshit panic about this. Also, how is this church? How is this not taxed? How is this passing? Because right now you're saying that you're saying something, quite frankly, that's antithetical to the idea that God has a plan for everything. Because what you're saying is that these forces have a plan, and it's kicking God's ass right now. Is that the argument? Yes, we're churching. This is churching. They're churching.
Here? Oh, look. She's also in the state education. She's here in...
she's also... she's part of the statal education. The statal education, which is a thing.
An intelligence community hearing. They're everywhere. So it's kind of like...
Oh, wait a minute. You're telling me that the National Association of State Electors Directors, the head of that, had an intelligence briefing around the United States elections, dealing with the safety and security of our elections. Who would have thought that up? Why would you even... Who would prepare for... Honest to God, what the fuck?
It's not obvious. It's like watching a thriller movie.
Oh, I see. Now, everybody, look at these lines. You see these faint lines here? So this is where you could see the Democracy Fund. Doesn't that sound like a nice, innocuous thing? Everybody ought to be giving to a Democracy Fund. Except that these guys are tied in strategically to CISA and GCC, the Global Cyber Alliance. Oh, we're finding out that the cyber tech world is involved with funding for the suppression of information. Interesting.
The funding for the No, they're involved in cybersecurity for our elections. Just because you lie about a subject and you get in trouble for lying about that subject does not mean that everybody that's tangentially tied to that topic is somehow on the hook for your lying, and worse, your lies getting called out. Oh, I froze. That's fun. Hi. All right, we're back. All right, that was weird. I'm fine. It was good. It was a good look, though. And by the way, Lanny's doing this because Gene was losing everyone. He saw too many yawns.
So now you look at these lines here and you start seeing this insidious. It almost looks like the Corleone crime family up here.
Yeah, but
No, it almost looks like a diagram created by a paranoid. Because that's what it is. Just because you draw horns on someone doesn't make them the devil, asshole.
ladies and gentlemen, there's hope. We serve a God that knows all of this.
There's so much hope. Gene, I was going to say, look.
Well, yeah, not all of it. Obviously, you had to put a diagram together. He was asleep. Remember, he's only just now waking up.
At all that, and you follow that all the way down to one righteous person who is willing to stand against the darkness. And then here's what you have to understand. This is why when I started talking about...
Here's what you have to understand. This was all a giant conspiracy against this one dude running in New Jersey.
...role of Cyrus as a Gentile leader. I was saying, don't focus on Cyrus as one individual.
Can you dig it?
We're in an era where God will take Dr. Shiva. My guess is, I don't know that he's a charismatic Christian. He may not be. But the Spirit
I'm going to go out on a limb.
of God is on him to expose the darkness. So your mission isn't to see if the person is a believer or not. Your mission is to see that God raises up a righteous witness to resist the devil.
Amen.
Yeah, a righteous witness. They don't have to be a Christian even. I mean, they are going to burn in hell when God's done with them, though. But, even demons can carry out the mission of the Lord, according to Lanny Walnuts. And therefore, they'll just do I agree, Deanne. This is, from a Christian standpoint, this is fucked up. It's gross. These guys are gross. And not just his weird Nazi haircut. He's got the straight up, remember the Ted Cruz white nationalist Nazi haircut that everybody, it was drawn, where you just shave the entire parts of it here or whatever. And now, in his defense, the whole thing could be a rug, and sometimes those things, I guess, if the duct tape starts to slip, it's hard. You know what I mean? You go get your hair cut and you forget, it's got to match. You have to drift it in, you pop the thing on top, but it's got to kind of feed into. Yeah. I don't know. My guess is, of all the guys on Flashpoint, Lanny Walnuts is my number one choice for having actual snaps on his head.
All right. So we'll go. I just wanted you to see that.
It's called a fascie. Thanks, Karate Joe.
We'll leave it up here for just a couple minutes more. But Pastor Hank,
Yeah, leave it up the whole time. There are people in this place taking notes. By the way, super spreader event. Look at this fucking thing. Look at these folks. Look at this. Look, and all this untaxed. No taxes at all. None. Never. They don't even pay when they buy it. Much less when they, all right.
Scripture that tells us those hidden things are brought to light.
But here's the point. It's the Spirit of truth. God's Spirit of truth. That gave
God's Spirit of truth. The Spirit of truth. Which apparently lays dormant, hidden, asleep, and needs awakening. You gotta yell at it. It's not good enough. The Lord will just sit there as you drift off into nappy bye-bye time. And the Lord, the Spirit of God, will reach down into your wallet and drag your ass into this super spreader event. Go!
Give this nation the freedom and the right to speak. And so they've come up against the Spirit of truth, and they're going to be exposed. And let me tell you something. The enemy only attacks what he is afraid of. And that's why.
Again, that's another version of this fucking bullshit. The enemy only attacks what he's afraid of. That's also true of victims of a home invasion, you fucking moron. The only reason that mom and dad attacked the guy who came into their house with a shotgun, zip ties, and a butcher knife was because they're afraid. Okay? They're afraid of the truth being revealed. And by truth, I mean what that guy was planning on doing to their children. This whole, like, they only attack what they're afraid of is, that's like saying, chemo is only afraid of the truth that cancer brings. They only vaccinate against diseases they're afraid of. That's, God's gonna tell you. God. What a dipshit. No. We do not only attack what we are afraid of or what we don't understand. Sometimes we defend ourselves against attacks. That's what this is. This is an attack on democracy. That's what this plan is. This is what they want. They're tired of democracy. They want to go back to the whole republic landowner thing and bypass everything. The Electoral College is the saving grace of the entire nation. You can't just let the rabble vote. And this whole thing of, like, once we veered away from being a Christian nation, which is just an enforceable concept. And by the way, nothing makes a country less Christian than forcing Christianity on people. Don't get me started. That's the whole point. You can't. Drownings aren't baptisms. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't hold somebody underwater until they, I think I heard the word God. What an asshole.
Have to be the voice of the Spirit of truth. You keep speaking and standing strong boldly.
I will, Lanny. Don't you worry about it, my friend. I'm going to keep speaking the truth to you and about you every single day. Praise Jesus, pass the mashed potatoes.
Taking America back.
Amen.
No, you are not. We are taking America forward. And your attempt to take America back will fail. Sorry, it's good. To quote, let's see, Ross Perot, I guess it was. When your attempt at taking America back, is a paraphrase more than a quote, is like a giant sucking sound. Click on this.
And Dutch, you've been how many of you in the room have been watched Dutch on Give Him 15? Yeah, every morning.
I have not. This is my first. What's Dutch's last name? Oven.
It's great. Dutch, you've been saying.
By the way, that is a Dutch oven. If you don't know, it's when you pull the shroud of Turin over your partner's head and fart.
A lot of these things, patriotism, taking America back. How is it that we need to pray? And by the way, Pastor Terry, when she gets here, we're going to bring her on.
Should you do it in Greek or Aramaic? I'm always confused.
Platform, and we're going to pray for America before we go off the air with Flashpoint.
His name's Dutch Apple Pie, yeah.
But how do we...
It's terrific, according to Starman.
How should we be praying, Dutch, when we enter into this sort of thing? How should we even intercede for this? Because we don't even know what we're looking at.
Yeah, don't let that stop you, though. If you don't know what the fuck is going on and you don't understand God's plan, it's always best to start praying that that whatever you see be interrupted. So, like, you hear some noises outside, a lot of clamoring. You see some some flashing lights. You hear some sirens. You're not quite sure what kind they are. But don't let that stop you from rushing outside and stopping whatever is happening. Never mind the fact that it was someone had a heart attack, fell off their bicycle, and an ambulance showed up to take care of him. That's not important. What's important is you thought it was police sirens and something else was happening entirely. And the important thing is that you, in your infinite ignorance, stop whatever it is that's going on. That's the important thing. Tell us, Dutch Apple Pie, it's terrific.
Well, I think the first thing I would say is we must keep declaring that this evil is going.
Dutch Sheets.org.
To be exposed. We cannot stop. And
yes, keep praying. And be careful. if you say, expose these evil things, if your aim is off, you might just end up seeing video of Mike Lindell's pants off. And that's, you know what I'm saying? It'd be very specific. You can't just go, Lord, let this evil and destructive power be exposed. Let this sexual deviancy be exposed. And then you'll get flashed in the park again. Then you don't want that.
In the process.
Whoa. Hold. What was that edit? Dutch, did they get bored in the middle of your... Like everybody else, they edited on top and the bottom.
We cannot stop in the process.
Yep. See that? See that little fade right there?
That I trust a lot sent me a dream, and in the dream, one of the things that was said.
He's seriously talking about intercessory prayer, but doesn't know what they're up against. Talk about evil. It's exactly right, Deanne. Like this is absurd, narcissistic dickery.
You've just completed Operation Expose All, and it has been.
Well, Operation Expose Some. I mean, there's just some things we can't unsee. I'm just saying, Dutch.
A complete success.
Was it though? Because I mean, the Arizona recount shit the bed. Trump's not coming back anytime soon. And I don't think technically, if you're going to say completed, the cyber symposium isn't until next week or the week after.
Realize that what God was saying to us was all of the prayers. Even though we didn't get things in the timing that we hoped we would get, doesn't.
Right. I mean, let's understand. The Lord is, a billion years passes in a blink of his eye. So you telling him you need something by Wednesday at noon is really just a dick move, honestly. Trump will be president again. It may be hundreds of thousands of years from now, and he may be in the form of, of a demonic spirit that itself takes time to arise. You're just going to have to, put it in your calendar and, find something else to do.
In the prayers were not doing what they needed to do, and in the.
Well, that's because you guys suck at prayer. I don't want to be rude, but clearly you guys suck at it. This is you have done a terrible job praying. I mean, I've seen some awful prayery people. Prayers? Let's just call them prayers. I've seen some terrible praying by prayers in my life, and this takes the cake, honestly. I mean, I think one of the prayers was, no one take the cake. You know what I mean?
Spirit realm to create the result that we will see, we are seeing and will see. And so God took me to...
just hang out, stop pelting Hank with tomatoes on his way to his car.
Genesis 15:16, where he told Abraham, I'm going to give you all this land, but I can't do it yet because the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet complete or full.
Right.
So even though God...
Yeah, I have to wait till all the evil acts happen before I can make it okay for you. I mean, what do you expect me to do? Interrupt the entirety of my plan that was playing out for you? Just hang out.
Sees the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46:10. He knows what's going to happen. He knows that cup of iniquity will be full. But still in his justice, he won't just take it from them and give it to Abraham until they have a...
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to, someone who's praying for their torment to end. They've lost their children. They're starving. They've got boils all over their body. They've run out of lamb to slaughter and give the fatty bits. It's weird that the rabbis and the preachers always said, take the best cuts of the sheep and the lamb and put them on the altar at a certain time of day and then leave and don't look. And if you hear the sound of cooking and lips smacking, don't turn around. It's weird that he has to hang out. You got to hang out. I got to let the evil play out first. Who do you think I am? The real God? I'm a demigod. I'm basically the manager. I run Earth for a local constituency. I'm elected on a bi-millennial basis. Every 4 to 6 millennia, we draw straws to see who has to deal with you assholes.
That level of iniquity. So Abraham has to wait 400 years for the promise. And so God took me there and he said, look, I'm just allowing...
Or 40 years. Or 4 years. It's just 4 units of measure, 4 yoms in the translation, which can mean a year. It just means a span of time. So it could be 4 weeks, 4 years, 4 months, 4 somethings.
The cup of iniquity to be filled to those who have opposed me in this.
Is that the one that, really? It's the cup of iniquity that runneth over, apparently. Shit.
And at the right time, I'm going to expose every bit of it. One of my other friends.
Yes, so spoke the prophet Jeffrey Toobin.
Pierce, who many of you have heard me talk about Chuck. He called me after that. And he said,
yeah, he would.
This is what I thought was going to happen. That you...
It's always good. That's one of my favorite kinds of prophecies. Is when they call you after something happened and went, I knew it.
Wouldn't get the result in the timing that you had hoped for. But he said, everything you have asked for and we're interceding for and others were praying for in this nation, you're going to see every bit of it. I guarantee you, he said, every bit of it. Your prayers have been producing this. And then he said something really interesting. He said...
no offense, Dutch, but there's some people in your audience that have been praying to see Nancy Pelosi burned at the stake and her children. You might have not... Their applause might have been mixed in with the rest of the people applauding.
I have not been, for this whole 2 months that you've been traveling, doing this thing and doing these 50s, I haven't been praying for America. And I was shocked. And I said, well, thanks a lot, Chuck. Yeah. He said, I have spent all of my time, hours, sometimes all night, interceding for you. Because I knew you and this praying army in America had to continue doing this because you are uncovering evil and doing what needs to be done to turn this thing around, and be assured God's going to do it.
Guys, I have talked about this. I have a show scheduled, not till next spring because it kept getting booted, in Hank's district near where near his in his city. And if I was there, it would be impossible for me not to storm that stage and call bullshit on this. I couldn't do it. And I'm a kind of, I'm a live and let live audience member on a lot of shit. But this is so insane and disgusting. I don't know, how they must at least have 10 people for each one of these sessions that has to be taken, removed from the facilities by security. They have to. Christ almighty.
Everything he's told you he's going to do. And that's what we have to do, Gene. We have to keep right on, just keep banging against that thing.
Please, keep knocking your head against the wall and send us your money. That's the important thing. Cash is helpful, but we got, Hal Sparks isn't the only one with a Venmo. See what I did there? Don't forget to like and subscribe, thumbs up, all that stuff.
And keep declaring, it's through faith and patience. Or perseverance.
Faith and patience? You're talking about intercessory prayer. Patience.
We inherit the promises. It's not just through faith.
Right.
It's through faith and patience, perseverance. So we continue. We hold fast to that. And so as we keep doing that, we're going to keep seeing things like this, only it's going to get more blatant. God's just going to expose it, and he's going to turn this thing around.
Amen.
We have all kinds of voices that are postulating different theories. It creates confusion out there. I would
Yeah, that's the problem, is that everybody's listening to the rest of these assholes and not Lanny Walnuts.
encourage you to pull back from a narrative, any narrative that sets a date or Trump as the answer to your prayer. And
Ouch. Ouch. You're breaking hearts, Lanny, and not just with your rug.
and pull back and see what we're saying. We're saying that God is playing for bigger stakes than just an election.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he wants Matt Gaetz as president. That's what God's real plan is. It's Gaetz and Green 2024.
Cycle where we just go back to business as usual. He's calling the body of Christ to literally rise up and become civically engaged. And I'm telling you, and I'm warning you, and most of the people think I'm a teacher. I'm actually a prophet who teaches to cover up my prophecies. But the prophetic reality is you have no idea.
Sorry, Lanny, it's pronounced pathetic, not prophetic. But go ahead.
How many Christians are already, from Mike Lindell to Mike Pompeo, you don't know how many Christians are ninja sheep, meaning that in order for them to do what they got to do, they can't be card-carrying, tongue-talking Pentecostals. They have to keep that private. But what they're doing in Caesar's household is they're
ninja sheep
working to restore righteousness in America. Our task is to engage.
Oh, right. So they're liars who hide who they are in a democracy.
When we talk about engaging locally, we have 30,000 openings right now just in the Republican Party, which is not all clean. The party itself, it isn't like one's clean and the other's bad. They're both corrupted. One's worse than the others. But if we don't have the righteous rise...
Yes, I agree. The Republican Party is definitely worse. Keep going with that narrative. Keep attacking Republicans. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Up and going to the school board, going to the city council, going to the precinct level, getting involved, then simply praying and not corresponding action isn't going to produce resurrection life.
No.
We're in the hour of maximum engagement. That was my thought.
Amen.
That was total gibberish, by the way. Lanny, you didn't say anything. God is lefty, Jesus is socialist. Not quite, Malcolm, but I understand your notion. There is no socialism in what God does because God is an extratemporal being. There would be no political system that God would need or not need. It's a much bigger thing. But I hear what you're saying. Charity, I think, is what you're talking about.
All right, that's good.
By the way, I am not an atheist, and I find these assholes brutally offensive.
Good. Now, some people will hear what Lance just said and go, oh, he's not for President Trump.
And go, he's talking out of his ass again.
No, you're missing the point. So let me, this is an education
Yeah, Gene saw some mad faces in that crowd.
point. Yeah, I got off my chair, so I want you to lean in and listen. Don't get so caught up in President Trump that you miss the learning place that we're in right now. This has been a rallying together of the saints for battle. The devil's distraction.
Well, Gene, did they have to cut out the part where everybody booed you for 5 minutes? What the fuck was that edit?
Is not what you need to be looking at.
That's right.
You've got to be engaged in what you're called to do, because you're called, as much as any of us are called, to step out there in your world and do what needs to be done. All right, Mario Murillo, go ahead.
First of all, what needs to be done? What the fuck does God need you for? Any religious activism in and of itself is always suspect unless it's just the extraordinary act of externalizing your ethics, your morals, and your behavior in a way that helps other people. Jimmy Carter building houses is a great example of that. Everything else, he doesn't need any fucking help from you. I used to have this bit in my stand-up about, the folks that kill people because God told them to, and that, come see me live sometime and request the whole bit if you want to see it. But the gist of the whole thing is that this idea that you think God needs your help killing anyone when he literally invented the hurricane and COVID and cancer and serial killers, but he it's like God's up in heaven going, I'm able to just wipe thousands out with flash floods and mudslides, and I can collapse a building with a bat of my eye and stuff. But that one little gay guy talking crap on that street corner down there trying to get people rights, I can't get him for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's just like lightning won't happen. I can't. It doesn't work. I don't know what. You know what I need? Can somebody get me a redneck with a gun? That'll handle it. That's what if I could find one of those, I could solve this problem. I don't know why it's untouchable other than that. I'll send. And the end concept was, and this is a very, touchy way of addressing this, but necessary, I think, is that all these folks saying that, the Lord told me to kill. Well, here's an idea. If you believe that, do it. But first, before you do, because God has said, thou shalt not kill, maybe blow your brains out. And then go check with God. And if God wants you, yes, satire warning. I can't put the graphic up, it'll freeze everything. But you guys know what I mean. That go kill yourself, go up and see God. And if God goes, no, I was serious. You heard me right. You're like, okay, I just want to make sure because I'm a true believer and I believe in the 10 Commandments. It says, thou shalt not kill. And I'm hearing this voice in my head like, go kill this guy. I was like, God could just hit him with lightning. What does he need me for? I was like, this sounds like hubris and pride being one of the 7 deadly sins. I was like, I don't want to step on the big guy's feet. So I decided to kill myself and come up and see you personally. And God's like, oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I want to do. I'll bring you back to life. I do have that power, and I'll bring you back to life and set you on your way. That way you won't make a mistake. Well, you won't make 2 mistakes. Suicide's always a mistake. Just saying. This Lord, yeah. So, these guys though.
Well, let me just add to what you're saying, Gene, and what I hope will add to what everybody's saying.
It will not. Mario, you're not helping. I don't know what you're going to say, but having watched your other shit, I know for a fact whatever you say is going to be useless, a rehash of whatever Lanny Walnut says, and also stupid.
The Bible says there's an occasion coming, folks. Look at me.
The Bible says there's an occasion coming. According to the Bible, occasionally things happen.
There's an occasion coming. It says they will bring you before the magistrates. They will bring you before the government officials. And the appearance of it will be to be canceled. But the Bible said it will turn to an opportunity to witness. Now, when you're looking at us and you're...
I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've read Revelations. Canceled. The word cancel's in there. Because I'm going to guess that a lot of the Kevin Sorbos and the Scott Bayos of the world are going to think that Revelations, when Joni Loves Chachi was kicked off the air, I think they would have read the word canceled differently.
Hearing us stir you up against all this information, all this evil that's going on. You wonder, Mario, what can I do? What can I do? And you heard Lance say that there are school boards, there's everything else, but there's something even more powerful for you to consider. Because right after
dog catcher,
Jesus said, it will be an occasion for a witness. It said, do not prepare beforehand what you should.
He's right, and he's talking to, of course, the Trump kids, because there's going to be an occasion very soon where they're going to appear as witnesses against their dad. As part of a plea agreement, probably. Can I get a witness? Answer yes.
I'll speak. That means that you don't need to waste energy on how am I going to do it? How am I going to get up in that school board? What am I going to say? Jesus said, I will.
Yeah, don't run for office or do any of that stuff, just sit back, watch Flashpoint, send them your money, and know that your prayers are going to get answered on a timetable beyond timetable. That was a bit of a Freudian slip. Timetable beyond your comprehension.
Give you a mouth.
This is the New Lee Greenwood translation of the Bible. Guys are asking in the chat.
And wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able.
Janet, thank you for mentioning that I look tired today. The actual word is sad, but I'll deal. Thank you.
To gainsay nor resist. And Paul said it this way, bringing every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Patton said, don't tell people how to do something. He said, tell them what to do, and they will amaze you with their ingenuity. Everybody who's watching right now.
Yeah, right. Why would you tell them to join the school board to try and affect how things are taught when you just tell them what the problem is, which is you can't trust the government or schools or the country or America or your fellow Americans or either party or anything, and just let them see what they come up with. Like they'll dig a hole in their backyard and bury a trailer in it and turn it into a bomb shelter where they amass weapons and cans of beans for some big racist revolution. They'll amaze you with their ingenuity.
Has a potential miracle in their mouth in this crisis right now.
Amen.
Yes, everybody. Yes, listen to everybody in that crowd. Here's a direct quote. All right.
Amen. Agreed.
Amen.
All right,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. By the way, that was their clip. They assembled that. That was 15 minutes long, and none of us at the end of it know what the fuck they were talking about. Seriously. I'm not stupid, neither are you. Nothing but word salad. They posted this graphic. Even when I went and looked at it, it pixelates when you blow it up. They think that because they attached lines and they drew a conclusion that actually is a conclusion. And even still, the shit they pointed out, none of that makes any fucking sense. Because Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and the Daily Wire all are still on Twitter and Facebook. Not a problem. Get fizzed. I did just waste time. But we didn't, because we're seeing the kind of ammo they have. It's nice to know if the gun is loaded, and it's not. If you're going to wrestle with somebody, it's clearly they're these guys are a full mag short of an empty chamber. Matthew 7:15 said, "Beware of false prophets." Precisely. Yes, it is. It is quite tiring. Yeah. Thanks. I'm glad you like the sound effects. These guys. All right. There's so many other things. Oh God. There's so much. Okay. Rand Paul. So Rand Paul's on Newsmax, and you need to know that they pulled out all the stops. They really did. They put together a graphics package that Biden, he's got a headache, not just because the stock market's in the red, which it isn't, but also because he doesn't know where he is. And he's like, I've got so much dementia, I don't even know what I'm supposed to worry about. And then the page is torn. There's so much to be taken away. Let's see the rest of this graphic, I'm sure. Look at that. This the number going, and then, heavy music. Look, your incredible shrinking dollar, along with royalty-free horror music. Biden's inflation spiral. Never mind the fact that we've already covered this a dozen times, and the deflation being a very real problem for spring of next year. We'll just go. Okay, now wait, sorry. My bad. I feel bad. I thought the music was ridiculous and made no sense up until now, but when you end a horror sting with that face, it makes sense to me. I take it back.
We are in day 3 of our special series, Your Incredible Shrinking Dollar.
Guys, somebody turn off the horror music. Eric is speaking. The balance.
Inflation spiral. The United States Senate just passed a $1 trillion infrastructure deal, but that's just a fraction of the expensive things Democrats are trying to sign into law. Joining us now to tell us about the effect of excessive government spending.
This is the face of a man who's disappointed he's on Newsmax. Apparently, it's like his segments where he's booked on Fox are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, so he has to go on Newsmax for 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
On our economy, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, thank you for joining me. We're talking.
Well, he represents Kentucky in the Senate. He is not a Kentucky senator. There's a difference.
About the spending and infrastructure and all these spending, and we're watching inflation just spike. And I said, we got to talk to Rand. Rand's a libertarian. I'm trying.
Yeah, Rand's a libertarian. He knows what's going on. I mean, he wants, draconian changes in governmental power to be more far-reaching, and he wants to get rid of Section 230, which would eliminate the protections for social media companies and make them liable for things that individuals set on their platform. So basically, like, if you took the public square concept that they're arguing about this, that it would, if somebody said something in the public square, they could sue the square and the public.
To be a libertarian, you're a capital L, I'm a little L, I think, or something like that.
Yes, he's this kind of libertarian, Eric, and you're this kind of libertarian. But basically the same thing, I get you.
It really is an inflationary cycle when we spend, and some of the stuff they're spending on is insane. Rand, Senator.
Well, I tell people.
Rand, Senator, Booby.
We're trying to keep them from looting the Treasury, but it's not really even that. They looted the Treasury long ago. We're trying to protect your kids' future now.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's almost as if the people who, like, just to use the analogy, it's like last year, all the people who looted a Target took all the shoes and stuff and they took it to a school and gave the shoes they stole to a school. Like, none of these kids in this school have enough shoes, so we looted the Target and we decided to liberate the shoes. And then we're doing a fundraiser after the fact with Target so that they don't press charges against the children in stolen shoes.
The future of the country, the future of the dollar. We've borrowed so much in the last 2 years, really at the behest of both parties. The Republicans were complicit last year, and now even some this year. Big government Republicans are complicit with Democrats. But before they're done, we're looking at $7 to $8 trillion worth of new debt. This is going to lead to price inflation. Nothing is free in life. The government comes to you and says, here's a free stimulus, here's free college, here's free child care. And it's infrastructure, but it's free. Don't believe them. It's a bait and switch. The bait and switch is this. You're going to get something for free, what appears to be free, but your prices will rise. And by the end of the year, you'll be...
Hi. Nobody thinks we're getting something for free with infrastructure. It's the functional use of our tax dollars for something else. Something we value. Something that we will actually all use, and therefore the investment in that thing will benefit us all in our living our lives as citizens of a free country and in the businesses that we run, that we know when we drive across a bridge is not going to fall apart underneath us. Nobody thinks infrastructure is free, dipshit. It's the entire process of it is either paid out over time through infrastructure, the infrastructure bank and the loans that it will put out, and the fact that they are paid back, in which case the government will make money on the loans that are put out by the infrastructure bank that will pay for some of the infrastructure that is not done through the infrastructure bank. Nobody thinks this shit is free. I don't even know where the fuck this argument comes from. Do you? It's cartoonish. It's stupid. What he thinks he means is free money is the money that we put out for people, unemployment insurance and the like. That money is specifically is borrowing against the future, just like you would take money out of a mattress or a savings account when a hurricane hit and your business has been blown out of the water, like it has been destroyed. Then what do you just go? You know what? Fuck it. I'm a rugged individualist like Rand Paul wants me to be. So instead of I'm just gonna go back to work anyways, even though the building's been blown away by a hurricane. I'm just gonna stand there and pretend I'm flipping pancakes with fucking nothing there. That's what Rand Paul is asking people to do in terms of UI. Now, again, UI is tapering off, and fewer people are using it. More and more people are going back to work. And the people, the open jobs, quite frankly, that people are bitching about, especially throughout the South, are jobs that, quite frankly, they used to pay people who have either sketchy immigration documents or none at all, see Mar-a-Lago, to do the work. But now they can't because there's been because Democrats traditionally, no matter what the storyline is from Republicans, aren't letting a stampede of illegals cross the border. The people that are coming in they have asylum claims, and they're often mothers with young children, and they are receiving help from NGOs or local groups as they get on their feet and eventually find a job, and that takes years. Or they go home. Everybody else, the army, the military age males that they scare the shit out of you with that are supposedly MS-13 gang members, they're not crossing the border, to get a job anyways. They're apparently murderers and rapists that have been let go from jails. But I'm a big fan of the guys who run their countries who are emptying their jails on us. That whole nonsense. No, like there aren't enough people crossing over to do those shitty below, minimum wage jobs that they use the fact that they're undocumented against them so that they can pressure them to work and keep quiet. Christ.
Better off.
By the way, what is with the truffle curly fries hairdo?
Began with, and if we end up having like the inflation we had in the 1970s, you'll eventually.
We're not going to, because that was based on policy from the previous 8 years and the end of a war. And OPEC. As a matter of fact, watch gas prices continue to rise as fewer and fewer people use gas over the next 10 years.
Get economic stagnation and job loss as well. So this is a really bad idea.
Listen, this is what I want to get to here, Senator, and you and I have been talking about this for the better part of 15 years, but yet.
Okay, so 15 years. So obviously it's started at Obama and it started with a conversation about how everything was Clinton's fault during the Bush years. And then the
stock market near record high 35,000. Labor market looks strong. Housing markets look strong. Looks like there's pent up demand across almost every retail sector. What is the economy missing? What are investors missing that you and I are talking about right now?
Yeah, why is Wall Street, consumer confidence, and retail sales so happy when we want them to be angry? All right.
Well, it's what Lord Maynard Keynes said. If you create stimulus, it works. And he was asked, what about the long run? If you print up all this money, will it stimulate? Will there stimulate demand? And
by the way, side note, the Fed is buying treasuries at such a high rate that it is alarming some people, which is not what you do when you're quote unquote printing money.
Cause a boom in the economy. Yes, we're in the midst of that.
Look at this fucking picture. Is that just $100 bills? Just cut, I'm surprised they even cut them. Why aren't we just folding up sheets of $100 bills and mailing them?
Creation of money works in the short run. But when Lord Maynard Keynes was asked what happens in the long run, he flippantly said, oh, well, we'll all be dead. So that is the problem here, is in the short run, you can appear to create wealth by printing money and giving it to people. We passed out $1,400 checks to people. Both parties were advocating for this, but it's a foolish notion, and ultimately it will catch up. there will be ramifications. The stock market is sky high now.
Hi, asshole. You do realize, you know what would have caught up with us? And the entire economy cratering because of a disease. One of the reasons why the Germans recovered so quickly after the 2008 drop is because the government stepped in and paid auto manufacturers and other long-term employers who had, regular factory workers who worked there for decades and decades, paid them to keep people on the job. Keep making cars. We know nobody's ready to buy them, but we assume that they're going to buy them in a year or so, and you'll start kicking them back out again. Don't stop. And if you think there's just not going to be demand for this, go into design mode, make what you have orders for, and keep paying your employees until such time as you're ready for the new models and do all that stuff. And they did that, and they recovered faster than anybody. And they're not broke because of 2008. There's not runaway inflation in Germany because of this. This is like saying, I know that person is drowning, but if we throw them a life preserver and someone goes in after them, we're going to have to put someone with them in the tub every time they take a bath from now on.
But that might be a time to think about reconsidering whether you want to stay completely in the market as well.
You just watched Newsmax TV.
Well, okay, so now Rand Paul's doing a put on all stocks. Fucking hell, what a creep! Oh, and by the way, we're almost, how much time? Yeah, we got a few minutes. It's okay. I mean, I'm always since I wasn't on yesterday, Now, we all know that this young fellow is allegedly the son of a former president. And you can attach that allegedly anywhere you would like. The former part, if you think he's still president, or that he never was president. He was just kind of given a list of judges to put in by the Heritage Foundation, and he basically just golfed and ate and farted and drank Diet Coke for 4 years while we all paid him to do it, just allegedly fellow. We'll see. But this is Don Jr. on Hannity, and what he's going to push back against is the insanity. This is watch. Don Jr. slams the insane public health bureaucrats. I mean, this is, guys, and I mean, if just him being on with Sean Hannity is like, we at least get to look at two of the weirdest heads on the right.
Jr. is with us. Your dad put the travel ban in effect. He took a lot of heat for that, Don.
Well, he did announce it on a Friday and say it didn't go into effect, I think, until the following Tuesday, when 28 other countries had already done that, and he only did it with non-citizens that were visiting family here, or tourism and that kind of stuff. If you were a businessman, let's say flying to a meatpacking company, you could go there. So it was not so much a ban. But please continue.
Your dad was able to get not one, not two, but 3 vaccines that help save lives. Your dad.
Well, that's debatable, Sean. Apparently, a lot of folks, largely Fox viewers, think that they're poison and that you'd be better off drinking bleach and shoving a light bulb up your ass. So, citation needed.
Help with therapeutics like Regeneron
Regeneron is the company. Regeneron is the company, not the actual stuff. REGN-CoV-2, I think, was the actual name of the. Never mind.
Your dad put in place a stay in Mexico policy, built a wall, and he ended catch and release. Boy, a lot has happened in 6 or.
Well, no. He the remain in Mexico part would have been remain in Mexico if he had actually gone through the process of processing all the asylum claims. Stay in Mexico, and we will work on your stuff while that happens. He just blew that part off. So basically, he was just his version of remain in Mexico was just like forever. just don't ever come in the country, even if your asylum claims are legit. And even though that's a violation of our own country's laws and international law, we'll just pretend.
7 months, hasn't it?
It really has. It's sort of amazing how quickly our country can degenerate with incompetent leadership. I mean, Joe Biden's...
And if anybody knows, being a degenerate...
only legacy, Sean, at this point is going to be showing America how good they actually had it under Donald Trump. The policies are...
Totally. Yeah, you guys don't realize it, okay? You are gonna clamor for another year where we lose 580,000 Americans, while some asshole tells you that the disease is nothing to worry about and the Chinese are handling it, but it's also a bioweapon they sent to kill us all, and I'm also going to do a trade deal with them at the same time. Yeah, I mean, I'm already pining for it.
Everything that you've been talking about, the whole show, are absolutely ridiculous. Imagine Donald Trump released...
Well, that is true. Hannity's show in general is ridiculous. So
7,000 COVID-infected patients into a small town in Texas. Now, that doesn't cover the rest of the border, so it's probably that. Think of how much spread of this disease is there because they're simply not willing to enforce rules against illegal immigrants. Americans.
They're simply... Sorry, run that by me again, kiddo.
They're simply not willing to enforce rules against illegal immigrants.
They're simply not willing to enforce rules against illegal immigrants. Let's see. Just simply not able to. Let's see. They're simply not willing. They just don't wanna. They're just not, they don't want to do it. Let's see. They don't want, they just, I don't know why they don't understand why they won't just push. Okay, you guys get my point.
Americans, law-abiding American citizens, are now second-class citizens in their own country based on the actions of this administration, and it's disgusting.
I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about.
I can't really put it any better, but you're right, because mask mandates, mandatory vaccines now are happening, passports are happening, and meanwhile, we're not talking about just 7,000. There's now over 1 million, since Joe Biden's president, illegal immigrants in the middle of a pandemic, hardly any of them tested for COVID, and then transported all over the United States with a high rate of...
Well, no, we're not. No, like the idea that 1.1 million are going to cross over the course of the year because that's what we're on track for, which is a volume normal to who crosses. That's not who gets to stay. They get deported. They're not allowed to stay. They don't test everybody. Some folks they just send back. The people that do have some sort of sponsorship or an asylum claim or an NGO or a family relative in the country will speak for them. They get tested. If they've tested positive, they quarantine for a time. Other people are getting actually vaccinated when they come in as part of the asylum claim. The people who aren't getting it are the people who are going to be sent back. That's another conversation. I would argue, then the right wing will start clamoring that, oh, I see, this is just their way of drawing people into the country. They're going to promise free vaccines to people, and that's going to, the caravans of people from South America who want a vaccine are going to come in.
COVID positivity, and I'm like, you can't make this up. Americans have no...
Well, you are, Sean. 1 million people are not being sent all over the country. You're making that up.
Illegal immigrants, they get treated, they get the red carpet treatment. No need to test you. No need to mandate a vaccine for you. No need to put.
Sean, back up. Start your whole sentence again. I was about to say you're talking out of your ass, but that's readily apparent.
Mask on when you're in one of his overcrowded cages that he built.
The red carpet cages, by the way. They're laying out the red carpet, and the red carpet lays right into a cage. It's kind of Biden has put Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner in charge of immigration policy.
100%. It's insane. I mean, think about it. They're knowingly releasing COVID-positive patients into the United States. You can't even...
No, they aren't. You can't, in the one hand, say that they're cramming them together into cages when they're positive, and then say they're just releasing them into the country when they're positive. They're not. They're quarantined until it either passes, until they pass the window, or they test negative, and then they can be moved on. I mean, like, this is just weird. Like, this is just goofy. It's so obviously false. Why are Fox hosts always so indignant? Wouldn't you be, Bean Toes? I mean, basically, between Tucker and Sean Hannity and most of the Fox and Friends, they got more vapors than an asthmatic kid who gets to stay home from school with Vicks on his chest. That's the biggest stack I could come up with at short notice.
Go to a restaurant in New York City according to the rules that Mayor Bill de Blasio wants to impose without a vaccine passport. You can't go eat. You can't go to the gym. You can't...
No. You can eat. You can eat. You can't go to a public gym because you'll be, Now, there's a bunch of areas where private entities may or may not decide that they can do that. But you can eat. You can buy food and you can cook it at home. Think of it as the food version of Twitter. You don't get to go to the restaurant and say whatever you want, but you haven't lost your right to eat.
You can't go to public places, and you can't work at them either. Under the new rules there, as a citizen of the United States, you don't have that choice. If you're an illegal immigrant infected with a perhaps deadly new strain,
you also can't go there. You cannot go there. They won't go. No, none of these restaurants or gyms are going. I'm sorry, you're here without a visa, Robert. Come on in, then, please. I mean, can someone speak? Does anyone speak Nahuatl? No. Anyone Portuguese? Yes. There's some Brazilian caravan members who, yes, we want them to come in and have try some of our escargot before they go upstairs to use the racquetball court. Yes. No, they don't have a vaccine passport. No. Oh, they should have one if they were citizens, but they can come in anyways.
Of COVID, the Delta variant, you are free to roam, Sean. You can go wherever.
No, you aren't. What the fuck is he talking about?
You want and do whatever you want with no consequence.
No, you're not. This is kind of gorgeous. So according to Don Jr., now that his dad is no longer running things, if you sneak across the border, you have a right to murder, rape, pillage, spread disease. Heck, you can willfully and knowingly contract HIV and have unprotected sex with people, not letting them know that you're HIV positive, and they can't even sue you. By God, you can give smallpox to a large group of Native Americans for old time's sake, if you so choose. Does anybody even believe this shit? Who thinks that people can go to New York and go anywhere they want as long as they're illegal? The fuck are you talking about?
It's literally insane. Not only are they imposing a caste system,
Yes, it is insane to believe that.
tiered system within our own country of American citizens, those who are vaccinated and those who aren't, and they get to abide by different rules and they get to go to different places. They're imposing segregation. And if it was the right doing it, and
Wait, sorry, segregation. Oh, that's right. There's COVID water fountains and vaccinated water fountains, and then of course the illegals get bottled water service at their table, flat or sparkling. Fucking hell.
left commentating, they'd say, man.
They literally, he's talking so much shit, even Hannity is playing the Oscars fuck off music.
This strikes me similar to the Jim Crow laws, because in New York City, for example, the largest demographic of unvaccinated people happen to be African Americans. And now you're telling them they can't travel freely, they can't go to restaurants, they can't live their life.
Yeah, but not because of their race. And they are equal with everyone else who's unvaccinated. And the vaccine is free. So it is not a poll tax in terms of vaccination. I mean, this is just goofy. It's the new Jim. This is Don Jr. trying desperately to get a viral video out of this. But maybe if watch this, I'll say this is the new Jim Crow, and aha!
They don't choose to let the government impose restrictions on them.
I got to tip my hat to you. You're a lot smarter than I am, because you got the hell out of New York. I need to follow your lead, and so does everybody else.
I agree. Fox, I'm sorry to tell you this. I know he's a cash cow for you, but Sean's leaving. He's packing the show up. He's moving in with Don. They're going to start a little chinchilla farm. They're mean little critters, but they're delicious. And they're going to just, live together and build a windmill by hand to power their dreams. This is the new Magnolia Farms that you're seeing right in front of you. Fox, I'm sorry. I know. I don't know who you're going to get to yammer between catheter ads, but you'll find someone. There's a budding young Tucker out there on YouTube, Maybe give Tim Pool and Jimmy Dore a show together. It'll be like Crossfire, but gross.
Anyway, great to see you.
Florida's a wonderful place, Sean. I'm loving it.
It is. It's a wonderful place right there. He's got a point. It is wonderful. It has some. I suppose it's got a couple of issues. As things go. It's there is a. I understand. Like, Florida's got some issues. Obviously, 135 children hospitalized for COVID. That's kind of new. Children. I've literally not seen that about any other state, and I do mean not see. Florida, it's got a lot going for it. It's a record-setting state. Yeah. This is, I don't know what more you would want. It is, ever since Trump moved there and Don Jr. and the family moved with him, things have just gotten better and better. Especially the kind of stuff, you see, that get, heartwarming stories. Florida Children's Hospital see pediatric COVID cases soar amid Delta variant surge. More Florida children were hospitalized with COVID-19 on Tuesday than in any other state, reflecting a rapid rise in serious illness amongst an age group considered to be at the lowest risk of severe outcomes from the disease, and many still not eligible for the vaccine. A total of 46 pediatric patients were admitted to a Florida hospital with a confirmed infection, while an additional 22 were hospitalized with a suspected case, according to the federal government's hospital capacity data. Only, let's see, whoops, hold on. Only Texas reported a higher total number of pediatric patients in hospitals with confirmed COVID-19 on Tuesday, 142. Well, everything's bigger in Texas compared to 135 in Florida. Look at that. Here's a percentage increase of new COVID cases by age since. Hi, Miami. I was kind of like, can't. I don't know. I'm not buying the thing. Hold on. Sorry. Can we reload the page and that'll go away maybe? Is it how I scrolled down? Is that what did it? There we go. Floridians of all ages contributed to a rapid increase in new cases during the month of July, but a Miami Herald analysis found that kids under 12 had the highest rate of increase in new cases between July 25th and July 23rd. June 25th and July 23rd. The 7-day average of new cases for Florida kids under 12 grew from 205 on June 25th to 1,544 the week of July 23rd. A 7-fold increase. 1,500 kids under the age of 12 have tested positive for COVID in Florida. Just in the week of July 23rd. And it's still continuing to climb. And they passed, a law coming up that they can't have mask mandates in schools. Hal is mental health care sparklers to gift us up. Oh, thanks, Cosmic Rose. Thank you very much. And thank you, Shadow Woman and Peter and Sarah for the gift subs today as well. And thanks for the super chats and the bits and everything in Twitch. I appreciate that, you guys. And again, thanks for being understanding about yesterday. In our previous iteration of the pandemic, it was more they're positive, but they're not sick or minimally sick, except for the pandemic's changing impact on children. This is different. There's a much higher percentage of pediatric patients becoming infected and symptomatic. The number of patients presenting at Memorial Health and Joe DiMaggio's Children's Emergency Room with COVID has exploded. Ford said from 23 in June to 240 in July, a nearly 1,000% increase. The rate of rise has been really more than what we saw in what we in the Children's Hospital have seen at any point in this pandemic. That to me is concerning. Christ. Honest to God, and these assholes are making jokes about how awesome it would be to be in Florida right now. And he's saying it's great in Florida and it's just getting better, and he's ready to move there. 1,000% rise in children under 12 being admitted to the hospital with COVID. Children under 12. My son is 10 years old. These assholes.
All right, now you're just putting the knife in and twisting it. All right, fair enough. I agree. I'm a dope. Good to see it.
Well, good. All right. I that's amazing. We all have an admission from Sean Hannity. Is this a sign of growth?
All right, fair enough. I agree. I'm a dope. Good to see it. Thanks for being with us. When we come back, Donald Trump Jr. is with us.
Holy smokes. Yes. Absolutely true. Speaking of dope,
intensifying, and
Eric
no one
Bolling
seems to care.
Just apparently gets any Republican senator he wants on his show.
According to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, over 203,000 migrants crossed the southern border in July.
Have been caught.
If this trend continues, 2021 will break the record for most illegal crossings.
That's weird. I notice you're not, Eric, if you don't mind, I notice that you're not, the got away, known, and recorded, that number's not in red. So the 203,000 are the ones that are caught. So you could argue that more are being caught. That doesn't necessarily mean that more are crossing, just that they're not being successful. I noticed you didn't make the the gotaways, known and recorded. That's not red text, so that makes me assume knowing you and your network, that if we looked up that number for similar months, it would be lower or strikingly similar. Same with 78 deceased, 7,867 non-violations. You mean Hispanic people that were pulled over for driving while Hispanic? And 1,000 are outstanding. Well, credit where credit is due. These people are amazing. I think the ones that were able to, shimmy up the slat fence and climb over the edge, that's impressive. That's outstanding. Let's see. I have to look something up now. Let's see. Known got away. Southern border crossings 2020 July, something like that. Rising border control back in the 90s. Okay. See, I don't know where that statistic is coming from. Source Customs and Border Patrol. Okay. Southwest land border thing. Okay, here we go. Southwest border migration for year 2020. Let's look at 2019, shall we? Here's May and June. This is similar. There you go. So here's Southwest border. Here's total apprehensions. May, June, July. This is 2019. 132,000, 94,000. Okay. Family units, single adults, and then unaccompanied aliens and children. Okay. This is 7,000, 5,000, 11,000 in May. All right. Spike in May. Seems kind of normal. Unaccompanied. Is there a got away number? Escapes, claims as a related kind of southwest border migrant. Let's say, try this. This is for this month. Okay, so this is 20. Here's 2021. This is 2020. Is the dark orange. That's when. Here's COVID. So these are all the people. You combine this number and this number for the people who didn't cross and were in Mexico, and then the people who are coming now, and you basically get this number, or close here. It's 2018. 2019, 144,000 at the peak. 116. Okay. And then is the component. Let's see, demographic for the year there. Citizenship grouping, okay. Authority, I don't know where the filter. What are filter options here? Okay. I'll have to look that one up. All right. So, but I'm noticing that he's got. And by the way, up to 40,000 or 50,000 from the 2019 numbers. A little over like 55,000 extra human beings after people, an entire year's worth of people were told to remain in Mexico, and still the number was high. Interesting. All right.
Going back 60 years. Now, just moments ago, I had the opportunity to speak with Texas Senator Ted Cruz from the Rotunda.
Okay, the Rotunda of is that an area in Cancun or
about the border crisis? He cares.
El Rotundo is what they call it.
He cares deeply. Now, I started by asking him about the very scary HR1 S1 bill and why it's so important to bring him to the Senate, to the hearings, and take care of everything going on in.
What the fuck sentence was that? Bring him to the everything. It's why it's good. Ted Cruz, there, present, yum, yum, happy, happy.
Him to the Senate, to the hearings, and take care of everything going on in D.C.
As you know,
take care of. Yes, it's important to bring Ted Cruz to the committee that he's not on. And to help with everything that's going on in D.C. Jesus Christ.
The crisis at the border is unprecedented. It's the worst we've ever seen. And the Democrats don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to acknowledge the kids in cages, the Biden cages. They don't want to acknowledge that last week
the Biden cages.
We crossed the threshold of over 1 million illegal aliens coming.
You have a problem, Ted. One, they aren't the Biden cages. And the unaccompanied minor thing, both under Biden and under Obama, was actually legit unaccompanied minors. Under Trump, you would take children with their parents and intentionally separating them, making them unaccompanied, forcibly de-accompanying them. But you have a real problem here, Ted. On the one hand, Democrats know you're full of shit. On the other hand, the people that do actually believe you and that do actually support you would be for putting these children in cages. I mean, this is I'm watching the talking point die of natural causes.
And just this year alone, just under Joe Biden in 6 months, that they don't want to acknowledge the rather stunning facts that came out this week, that in the city of McAllen, one Texas city, that the Biden administration has released over 7,000 illegal aliens.
That's the 7,000 number that we've heard.
Who were COVID positive. Just last week, the Biden administration released over...
Hold on. Now, I need to see this one too, because we've heard this. This is the third time we've heard this talking point. Let's see. 7,000 COVID immigrants positive. Texas border says more than 7,000 COVID positive migrants released since February. More than 1,500. Okay, let's see. This is the city of McAllen. This is local news. This is from them. McAllen, Texas. The city of McAllen announced that the location of the emergency temporary shelters for COVID-positive immigrants will change. On Monday, Hidalgo County and McAllen signed disaster declarations of local disaster regarding the recent spike in asylum-seeking migrants. The location of the temporary emergency shelters housing COVID-positive migrants will be moved from 23rd Street in McAllen to Hidalgo County property near Customs and Border Protections. A release also states the city is asking federal government for relief due to the increase of individuals being released into the city by officials. I know y'all are angry, and we get the calls, we get the texts, we get the emails, McAllen Mayor Javier Villalobos said in a social media post. Please don't misplace your anger. It is not our commission that is responsible for this. They did what they had to do to protect each and every one of you. Since February of 2021, there have been over 7,000 confirmed COVID positive immigrants released into the city of McAllen by CBP, including over 1,500 new cases in the past 7 days. Hidalgo County judge told Valley Centers the infection rate for migrants rose to a shocking 16%, doubling the numbers from last time. Both coaches indicate. All right, so CPB, the Customs and Border Patrol, which who do we always hear that the people at Customs and Border Patrol support as president? Who are they? Are they the Biden ones that want to release a bunch of people into the country for free? No. Let's see. This is Yahoo News. By the way, this is the story that, according to Ted Cruz, no one wants to cover. This is Yahoo News. Drone footage reportedly shows up to 1,000 migrants being held under a bridge in Texas as the border crisis continues to grow. More than 1,500 coronavirus positive migrants released in 1 week into Texas border town. Border City in South Texas declared a local disaster this week as it struggles to respond to surging cases of coronavirus and migrants as thousands are released by the Border Patrol onto the street every week. Last week, a record high 7,000 migrants were released in downtown McAllen, where they are immediately tested for the coronavirus through a city contractor. More than 1,500 people tested positive over the past 7 days. Last week, a record high 7,000. So this is the 7,000 migrants were released into downtown McAllen, where they were immediately tested in the coronavirus. More than 1,500 people tested positive over the past 7 days, according to the city document issued Wednesday, compared to a total of 7,000 confirmed cases over the past 5 months. Those who tested positive are told to quarantine for 2 days but are ultimately released into the public. The city said in a statement that the shockingly large number of immigrants released by Customs and Border Patrol into the city overwhelmed Catholic Charities, which provides humanitarian service for the city of migrants. This significant change increases the threat. Catholic Charities shelter downtown has taken in migrants released by federal Border Patrol authorities for 7 years, but has never seen numbers like those over the last 2 weeks. In early July, the shelter averaged 750 arrivals daily, increased to 1,100, up to 1,900 per day in the first few days of August. The center's only approved to hold 12,036 people at a time. Faced with a rapidly escalating surge of immigrants at the Texas-Mexico border, the city of McAllen's emergency management office coordinated with the city. Okay, that's where they're moving it to thing. To avoid releasing hundreds of people on the street every day, Mayor Javier Villalobos declared a local state of disaster to allow the city to get reimbursed by the county, by the country and state, I think county is what they meant, for costs incurred responding to the emergency. That includes renting a larger property several miles north where far more people can be held at once. The trouble for McAllen is that its contractor overseeing coronavirus testing amongst migrants, the American Medical Response, leases city property downtown, complicating how migrants with and without the coronavirus will be transported to and from testing. So this is why, quote unquote, they're released onto the street, is because McAllen hired a contractor to test these folks for COVID, and they put the facility downtown. And then those contractors can't keep anybody. So if these people test positive, and these are people who, either have somebody, a relative, and they've got a report for an asylum hearing or those kind of things, they get tested, they're supposed to go home. They're supposed to go to their relative's house and quarantine for a while. The McAllen City Commission also instructed the city's emergency management office and city management to ask Hidalgo County to put up an emergency management facility. This is what they're talking about. Overwhelming number of migrants being released into the town. The commission also told the city that to ask the Biden administration for relief to deal with the escalating situation. So, if it's the federal government's problem, if this is not a normal aspect of this city, why are they having to ask the Biden administration for the help, for relief? One would think that if it was the federal government's job dealing with this part of it, they would somehow, I guess, it's hard to break down what they're talking about here. You would argue that they would just demand it. Passed through Texas City, McAllen approves setting up temporary emergency. This would go. Ted Cruz calls Biden's election COVID super spreader event. Because the emergency shelter for COVID-19, migrants to provide help. A viral claim gets Biden's COVID-19 travel and immigration. Claim COVID Delta is so deadly, Biden is restricting travel for Americans into Mexico, but is keeping the border open for illegal. Okay. Claim, here we go. This is the viral claim gets Biden's COVID-19 travel and immigration policies wrong. We just heard Don Jr. talk about this shit. It's just dumb. All right. So.
1,500 illegal aliens who were COVID positive in McAllen, Texas, one town in South Texas. They're doing this all across the country. This crisis is their creation.
Well, they're clearly not doing this across the country. McAllen is doing this across the country. McAllen set up its testing facility for newly released migrants downtown. So these folks that are allowed, to either go to a relative's house and await their asylum claim thing or any of that stuff, those folks, which aren't even the vast majority, these aren't the ones who are abducted. The ones who are caught are the ones who are released, are the ones who are, the ones who sneak by and are missed. These are the ones who have processed through an asylum claim or processed for, trying to get an immigration visa or any of that stuff or green card. Those folks are getting processed and put through, and then they'll have a hearing. Until they have the hearing, they are in that area. So they're sent to a COVID testing thing, which is a part of being in that county. And then when they get tested, the people in McAllen have set up their testing facility in the middle of downtown.
The Democrats don't want to talk about it.
Because governing is for assholes, apparently.
Instead, what do they want to do? They want to ram through, as you noted, S1, what many of us are calling the Corrupt Politicians Act, which is an act for the federal government to
deny dark money in politics?
Over elections and to strike down every reasonable state-level voter integrity law, to strike down photo ID laws, to strike down...
Well, no. You obviously, voter ID is increasingly part of the bill, but it's going to work its way out that the legal challenges for the bill when it goes through is that the government will be responsible, if they want to keep that part of it, with supplying every citizen with a national ID card for free.
Prohibitions on ballot harvesting and the automatic.
I am, Varkfather, I will try to talk Steph and them into being on Twitch.
Register everyone who comes in contact with the government, including millions.
Thanks, Mary. I mean, we'll see if they'll have me.
Illegal aliens, including felons, because the Democrats, I think, understandably believe that if millions of illegal aliens and millions of felons are voting, they're likely to vote Democrat. And this is all about partisan politics.
Well, for the record, everybody who voted fraudulently that's been caught in the last election, including a man who murdered his wife, which I think you would consider a felony, and voted on her behalf, voted for Donald Trump. And because of that, you know, the micro is the macro is the micro, I'm going to go ahead and reiterate my belief that if there was massive voter fraud, as you claim, and massive voter fraud as Trump claims, and massive voter fraud as Mike Pillow claims with no pants on, that all the people who voted fraudulently voted for Trump. Prove me wrong.
Rather than the interests and well-being.
Every time you prove that someone, unless you show me what their vote was, that, you know, where you say a dead person voted or an underage person voted or an illegal immigrant voted, any of that stuff. Anytime you say, we have proof that this, unless you show me what their vote is, I'm going to assume they voted for Trump. You're welcome.
I want to talk about this. President Biden told your state and told Florida, so told Texas and Florida, either help or get out of the way with regards to.
Yeah. Yes. Now, granted, Ted Cruz has done his part because when, you know, people were freezing to death in his state, he had the decency to get out of the way. He went straight to Cancun where he could do the most good by just being clear of any, you know, the worst thing is having someone who clearly is incapable of making a useful or, you know, suggestion in an emergency. You don't want them anywhere near it when it happens. So thank you, Ted Cruz, for going to Cancun and saving, you know, more lives would have been lost had you been in Texas.
COVID. What are your thoughts about him taking a shot at your governor and Governor DeSantis in Florida?
You know, there's a Yiddish word, chutzpah, and Joe Biden. Is embodying chutzpah. If you look at COVID,
what does it mean? Tell them what it means. Tell them what you can't say. There's a Yiddish word, chutzpah. Tell them what chutzpah means. You can't, because if you say it, then you got to go, oh, you know, Biden's got balls, which is really what.
Blue states, the New Yorks and New Jerseys have been train wrecks on COVID. You look.
Yeah, except they the train wreck happened, and then they fixed the tracks and the trains, so there aren't any more train wrecks. And what you've seen in Texas and Florida was a bunch of trains crashed up north, and everybody said, oh, shit. There's a problem with the trains and the tracks, and Texas and Florida went, who gives a shit? We don't like trains anyways. And then they went off the track and killed people. So their train wrecks happened afterwards.
Governor Andrew Cuomo, who sent COVID-positive patients into nursing homes, costing the lives of tens of thousands of seniors in New York State. Then, according to Cuomo.
And Texas and Florida have passed laws against mask mandates, including in schools. Ask Asa Hutchinson how that's working out in his state.
Staff, he covered up and lied about the data. What did Joe Biden and all the Democrats do? They covered up for Cuomo. The corrupt corporate media covered up for Cuomo. They hailed him as a hero of COVID. You know what they hate? They hate red states like Texas and Florida, states that.
No, if we hated states like Texas and Florida, we wouldn't say anything. Hate's a big word, Ted. Like, I hate your pinchy, weird head. I hate your oddly non-adult sounding voice. I hate your demeanor and nearly everything about you as a human being. even with that hate, though, I don't want you to die. I don't. I'm not wishing death upon you. And I'm not wishing death on anyone in your state, especially those who are going to catch something because their fellow citizens don't give a fuck. If we hated the red states, we would shrug off this entire phase. Because we would know that the only people being killed by it are Trump loyalists who think the vaccines, make you magnetic, or contain adrenochrome or some nonsense, or are a plan also to kill you. That part I don't get. But if we hated these states, we just kind of wouldn't give a shit. We just pop some popcorn and watch you fuckers die. The reason people are upset is because, oddly enough, the weird blue states who you seem to think don't give a shit, are quite concerned about the lives of your constituents, more so than you are. Fucking hell.
Defend freedom. They hate the fact that we reopened our schools, that we allowed small businesses to reopen.
Yeah, and look at your spike in kid illnesses from the Delta variant, dum-dum.
But they hate the fact that people are fleeing their failed socialist governments and coming to states like Texas and...
Yeah, we're brokenhearted that we lost the Joe Rogan podcast.
Because people want to be free. We want our kids in schools, and my views are simple.
You know what you can be? You know what you want to be free of? Apparently, light and heat in a winter storm.
No mandates, no lockdowns, no school shutdowns, no vaccine mandates, no mask mandates. Joe Biden.
Yeah, but refrigerator trucks full of dead bodies, overrun ICUs, people who have heart attacks being denied beds in hospitals because there aren't any. Yeah.
And the heavy-handed government needs to get off of forcing their mandates on the American people. We ought to respect people's freedom.
They're not making a mandate. There's no federal mandate on this stuff. There isn't. Fuck you, Ted Cruz. There is no mandate in Texas or Florida from the federal government. They're talking to your elected officials, pleading with them. These are the kind of assholes who think when Biden goes, please, 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 please get vaccinated, that's an order. It ain't. That's why please is the magic word.
And their individual responsibility.
You know what, Senator? I can officially say that's the first time I've ever heard Joe Biden has chutzpah. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, I mean, Eric, in all fairness, Ted has been a witness to Biden's chutzpah since his chutzpah had been sitting on Ted's forehead since January 20th, rent-free.
We really appreciate it, busy man, and stay on that HR S1. Make sure that doesn't pass the Senate. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Hey, absolutely. Why would I want everyone in this country to be able to vote? Well, that was gross. Oh no. I'm out of time. I don't have time to do. Greg Kelly, I don't have time for you, man. I don't. I know you're upset. I know it's late. I know you're weirdly. I know your plans don't include plans. Still here we are. One of us not dumb. We got tonight, dummy. Why don't you leave? I can't. I'm not doing Greg. I started a little late today because that's how Thursday is, and it bleeds into everybody's evening as it is. I can't do that. We'll do. Believe me, we will definitely do some Greg Kelly in the ensuing days because he's getting increasingly angry. It's what keeps his hair up. But I want to thank you guys again for appreciating the space for the day off yesterday. The long and the short of it is that I'm one of those millions of parents that share custody, and the arrangement is such that I get the summer, and the summer ended today, and yesterday was the last day of the summer, if that makes sense. And while I still get other times, and I get, there's some trade-off, there's some travel distance involved in this whole process, and so it's not automatic. And so it's just like being hit in the face with a shovel or a sledgehammer in the chest. It's, and I go through it, every year. So that's just part of it. And that's, that's why I always say, and some of you have heard me say it back in the day, but like single dads going through airports carrying empty car seats, I see ya. And so, yeah. So that's this is officially my worst Thursday of the year. So hopefully it evens out and it's a little better after this. But that's where it really goes, and it's something I know I share with the rest of the world. And of course, my kid's mom has to go through something similar when he comes here. I have no doubt. So it's not one-sided in that regard. That's my point, though. It's yeah. Anyways, that's all. So thank you guys for understanding that part. It's, as my employer, it's it's nice to be able to ask for a day off and get it for family stuff. So I appreciate you guys being understanding, and I will see you guys tomorrow at my regular time at 3 o'clock. Thursdays we'll move to the 4 o'clock hour until next summer, basically, or over the holidays. It shifts a little too. But yeah, so anyways, take care of yourself, take care of somebody else, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow.